Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faizuddin bin Khalid. My metric number is 2014035. I am in section 2 in group 4. And this is for ECON 1610, Principles of Macroeconomics. So I will tell you the analysis of unemployment. So what is unemployment? Unemployment is one of the problems in economics other than inflation, and it is a term referring to individuals who are unemployable and seeking a job but are unable to find a job. So what are the types of unemployment? There are three. The first one is frictional, and second one is structural, and the third one is cyclical. So what is the frictional unemployment? It is when workers choose to leave their jobs in search of new ones and workers entering the workforce for the first time. It does not include who remain in the current job and finding a new one. It is a part of natural unemployment, and workers who are actively seeking for jobs are classified into three categories, which is workers who left their job, people returning to the workforce, and new entrants. Workers who left their job means to get a better job, and the second one is people returning to workforce, means that they quit before and they return back to the employment because of before they go to school to learn a new skill, or like they go to the university because they want to earn more income with a new skill. And the third one is new entrants. Entrants means that those who are graduates from school or first-time job seekers temporarily holding out available job for the better paying job, means that they are already available job, but they want to better paying job, so they hold out for the better paying job. And next, unemployment benefits may lead to frictional unemployment. It is allowing workers to be selective in finding the new job. Unemployment benefits may give by the government because they want to assist for those who are seeking for jobs. And it is always exists in an economy with a free moving labor force, and it is the only form of unemployment affected by economic stimulus. So next is structural unemployment. It is caused by fundamental shift in an economy and exacerbated by external factors such as technology, competition, and government policy. Workers that lack the requisite job skills or live too far from regions where jobs are available and cannot move closer. Jobs are available, but it is a serious mismatch between what companies need and what workers can offer. It is like workers have this kind of skill, but the companies want another skill, so it is a mismatch between the workers and the companies. And this unemployment can last for decades and may need radical change to redress the situation. And the next is cyclical unemployment. Cyclical unemployment may result directly from cycles of economic upturn and downturn. It is rise during recession and declines during economic expansions, and it is related to the irregular ups and downs or cyclical trends in growth and economic that occur within the business cycle. When demand for product and service declines, supply levels are reduced, and fewer employers are required to meet the lower standard of production volume. Those who are no longer needed will be released, and the company resulting in their unemployment. Means that during recession, the companies want to reduce the production because of want to maintain the profit, so they have to reduce the employees as they cannot pay the employees, so they need to reduce to they maintain the profits. The next is natural rate of unemployment, NRU. It is the full employment level of unemployment, represent the lowest unemployment rate whereby inflation is stable. Many economists consider a 4% to 5% unemployment rate to be full employment and not particularly concerning. It can vary over time, and actual unemployment can be above or fall below the NRU. So next is how to compute the unemployment rate. So the first one, we need to know the total population. Total population is under 16 and or institutionalized plus not in labor force plus labor force. So institutionalized means that those who are still in school or study and not in labor force like housewife or in prison, and labor force is include employed and unemployed. Unemployment rate can be found by total unemployed divided by total labor force and multiply with 100. So that's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Nursadana Pisa binti Kamar Zaman, batch card 2017816, and I will present the unemployment rate trends in Turkey and Norway. In Turkey, the unemployment rate measures the number of people actively looking for a job as a percentage of the labor force. The labor force in Turkey increased from 29.7 million in 2015 to 33.8 million people in 2020. In the latest report by Turkish Statistical Institute, Turkey population reached 83.2 million people in December 2019, and unemployment rate dropped to 13.2% in August 2020. The unemployment rate in Turkey declined to 12.7% in September of 2020, which is from 13.8% in the corresponding month of the previous year, which is in September 2019, and it is the worst since November 2019. Turkey's unemployment rate surged to 14.7% in December 2018 to February 2019 period, which is the highest level in nearly a decade. As you can see here, this is the unemployment rates over 10 years, where between 2018 and 2019, the highest unemployment rate is here. It is due to currency crisis in 2018 continue to weigh on workers. In 2018, there is a currency crisis in Turkey, which continued to put a burden to the workers until the year of 2019. The unemployment rate in Turkey rose to 13.4% in June of 2020 from 13% in the same month of the previous year, which is June 2019. It is the highest since February due to the coronavirus crisis. The number of unemployed dropped by 152,000 to 4.101 million, and unemployment declined by 1.98 million to 26.513 million, with job losses registered mainly in services, industry, and agriculture. Next is in Norway. In Norway, the unemployment rate also measures the number of people actively looking for a job as a percentage of the labor force. The labor force in Norway increased from 2.76 million in 2015 to 2.84 million people in 2020. Before the coronavirus outbreak, the unemployment rate in the sector is 3.4%. However, the rate increased to 10.5% in November 2020. In this graph, it doesn't show the November 2020 because it only shows until September 2020, but it increased until 10.5% in November. In January, the last month of regular economic activity before the first round of lockdown began, the unemployment had stood at 3.7%. Norway's unemployment rate shot up to the highest level since World War II as the economic shutdown brought on by the coronavirus sends the richest saw the economic shock. The Norwegian government announced emergency shutdowns of many public and private institutions in mid of March, which made the unemployment rate rose rapidly from 3.6% in March to 4.1% in April 2020 and keep on rising till 5.3% in August 2020. Norway has a rather high labor force participation rate and very low unemployment rate. It is because of the situation called tripartism. Tripartism is an agreement among unions, employers, and government to maintain a high level of coordination in wage bargaining. As we can see here, in the unemployment rates over 10 years in Norway, the the highest level is in 2020. It is due to the coronavirus crisis. But as you can see here, in 2016, the unemployment rate is also high. It is due to the past year, 2015, the Norway economy has been experiencing an all-driven economic downturn, which is expected to be followed by a modest recovery in the second half of 2016. That's why in 2016, the unemployment rate is also high. That's all from me. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we move to unemployment in China. So China is the largest population in the world with 1.4 billion population. So here is the unemployment rate in China from 2008 to 2018. We forecast until 2025. So from here we can see the highest unemployment rate is in 2009, which is 4.3%, and the lowest is in 2018 with 3.8%. So let's see why in 2009 the unemployment rate is the highest in China. So there's a crisis in 2009. This crisis happened because of the American bank crisis of 2008. The decline of US import from China, which contracted the Chinese economy after China opened up the global market and emerged as a rapidly growing developing economy mainly because of its export-oriented policies, the US being its number one importer. So recession has decreased purchases of China's goods. Due to this situation, many Chinese firms face difficulty and thousands of firms collapsed. Tens of thousands of workers were laid off and 10 million migrant workers were forced to go back to their home due to lack of employment opportunities. Thus, unemployment rates increased from 3.8% in 2008 to 4.3% in 2009. So we move to COVID-19 effect to unemployment rates. COVID-19 started in China on December and deteriorating in February. As of May 14, 2020, China has discovered about 84,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 with more than 4,600 reported deaths. Due to this coronavirus, 6.8% GDP have dropped from January to March, and many businesses were also forced to close. And the unemployment rate rose to 6% in April from 5.9% in March. So we move to unemployment in Jordan. Jordan is one of the OIC members. Here is unemployment rate in Jordan from 1999 to 2020. Here we can see the highest unemployment rate is in the year of 2016, which is 35.63%, and the lowest in 2008 and 2014, which 28.49%. So let's see what happened in 2016. Basically, this is the youth unemployment rate. So, data has been published by the Department of Statistics showing that Jordan's unemployment rate stood at an elevated rate of 15.8% in the fourth quarter of 2016 and averaged 15.2% for the entire year. So in 2016, women's unemployment remains high but relatively stable at around 25% of the female population. This is because some service sectors such as financial services, health and education, where women's employment is more relevant and can continue to develop at a steady rate. However, there are substantial changes have occurred among men due to the low speed of economic growth in the industrial sectors such as construction and mining that mainly employed by men. There's not only that, unemployment rate among men also increased because of the Jordanian men are also more likely to be competing directly with Syrian refugees. There's a huge number of Syrian refugees in Jordan, is about 1.4 million. The Syrian refugees also willing to work unofficially and willing to work for lower pay. Thus, the company will take Syrian refugees as their workers rather than Jordan men. So, that's all for Jordan and China unemployment rate.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Izzatun Nabila binti Azian. Metric number 2012274 will be presenting about trend of unemployment in Singapore and South Korea. So, as an introduction, Singapore and South Korea are one of the developed countries in Asia. Despite their great development, these countries are also having unemployment at different rates with various causes. So let's see the difference. For Singapore, generally, the average unemployment rate for Singapore showed an upward trend from 2011 to 2020. Then, the average of unemployment rate slightly fluctuated from 2011 to 2017, which is 3.89% to 4.2%. Next, the figure gradually increased in next 3 years, which is from 4.02% to 4.38%. For additional information, the highest rate is 5.93% in 2003, while the lowest rate is 2.18% in 1991. Let's figure out why the unemployment rate in Singapore was climbing since the year of 2016. Firstly, the total demand for domestic goods and services increases slowly relative to the supply of labor in the economy of Singapore. It means that when the total demand increases, the total supply of labor will not be enough. Because of that reason, the new jobs provided will not be sufficient in the labor force, leading to the cyclical unemployment. Secondly, the technological advancement from research and development in Singapore caused some skills, such as sewing skills, become obsolete, which will lead to structural unemployment. Okay, next, for South Korea. Overall, the unemployment rate for South Korea also showed an upward trend from 2011 to 2020. The average of unemployment rate slightly declined from 2011 to 2013, which is 3.4% to 3.1%. Then, the percentage gradually went up in next 7 years, which is from 3.5% to 4.6%. The maximum rate is 6.96% in 1998, while the minimum rate is 2.05% in 1996. Why did this pattern happen? So let's see. There are several causes of the pattern of the unemployment rate in South Korea, so I will briefly explain some of them. Firstly, economic decline. This means the rapid rise of unemployment level caused by the new government policy, which is mandating a higher minimum wage, causing all the employees to cut some jobs because of the rising cost of labor. Secondly, technology. As we know, South Korea is one of the developed countries and at the top of the International Federation of Robotics (IFR's robot density list. The advancements in workplaces make people having difficulties to be hired. For instance, latte department stores has replaced many sales staff due to the automation. Lastly, their preference of higher education. As Koreans' devotion is more to learning, the unemployment rate rises as many young adults technically unemployed due to their decisions to remain in pursuing higher education level. So that's all from me. I hope you can understand and get something from this presentation. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My topic is the future unexpected trend in unemployment. This is me. I am Mohd Nizam bin Barom. I am here because I love to give presentations. This is the topic that I will cover in my presentation. First, what impact will automation have on work? Second, does coronavirus could lead to the highest unemployment levels? Third, what are possible scenarios for unemployment growth? Fourth, will there be enough work in the future? And the fifth, what will automation mean for skills and wages? First, what impact will automation have on work? Let's start with the first set of slides. As machines become more and more efficient and perfect, so it will become clear that imperfection is the greatness of man by insufficient. Automation or AI. No matter how clever or efficient AI appears, there will always be a need for human team members. Automation and AI will lift productivity and economic growth, but millions of people worldwide may need to switch occupation or upgrade skill. In fact, automation will have a lesser effect on jobs that involve managing people, applying expertise and social interactions, where machines are unable to match human performance for now. However, even when some tasks are automated, employment in those occupations may not decline, but rather workers may perform new tasks. This is the example of the real-world automation in the workplace. First, we have self-driving vehicle, which is not available in Malaysia yet, and then customer support to answer the customer inquiries, and then digital signatures. Second, does coronavirus could lead to the highest employment levels? Impact of COVID-19. On March 24, 2020, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis predicted that unemployment in the United States was about to skyrocket to a point higher than that reached at the peak of the Great Recession, which is 32%. This is the table. As you can see, some analysts are predicting that the country will experience the highest unemployment in the recorded history for 2020. 2020 is the highest rate since 1932. This is the total population of USA in 2020. They have 331 million people, and the unemployment rate is 22%. So, the people whose their job were affected due to coronavirus is approximately 100 million. That's a big number. The third, what are possible scenarios for employment growth? Let's keep going with the next slide. Future of economy. When it comes to whether advances in technology will help or harm our careers, opinion is divided. The Office for National Statistics in the US predicted that automation will replace the job of 1.5 American people. 4 ways that can impact on work. The first is automation, and then brokerage, and then management, and then digitization. Fourth, will there be enough work in the future? Today, there is a growing concern about whether there will be enough jobs for workers given potential automation. With sufficient economic growth, innovation, and investment, there can be enough new job creation to offset the impact of automation. In the last slide, what will automation mean for skills and wages? In In general, the current educational requirements of the occupations that may grow are higher than those for the job replaced by automation. In advanced economies, occupations that currently require only a secondary education or less see a net decline from automation, while those occupations requiring college degrees and higher growth. In summary, we will all need reflective visions for how our lives are organized and valued in the future in a world where the role and meaning of work start to shift. As a business, they will be on the front lines of the workplace as it changes. This will require them to both retool their business processes and reevaluate their talent strategies and workforce needs, carefully considering which individuals are needed. And then for individuals, they will also need to be prepared for a rapidly evolving future of work, including new skills that are in demand and resetting institutions about the world of work will be critical for their own well-being. Thank you. That's all for me. If you have any question, you can contact me at my email.